Dali has always been known to pack a punch. Can these tiny tots do the same?
Welcome to Hi-Fi. I'm Marcos, this is Kurt, and today we're having a look at the Dali Oberon 5. The Oberon 5 is a two-way tower speaker featuring a 29mm soft dome tweeter, two 5¼ wood fiber cone woofers. The Oberon 5s retail for around $2,000 Canadian, or around $1,500 USD. They feature 88 dB sensitivity, 6 ohm rating, and they're rated for anywhere from a 30 watt amplifier all the way up to 150.
So one of the technologies that Dali uses something called SMC, which is actually patented. And what the whole idea is, they have an iron pole piece, I believe, and it's actually got this, what they call this SMC disc around it, and it's supposed to reduce vibrations and also just really relax the mids. I really do like the overall looks, and especially even with the grill on. Now, because it looks more like cloth as opposed to your regular speaker grill material. The color, I do like this contrasting between the white and the kind of the wood. This is like a vinyl from what I can, a vinyl veneer that I can see on there. But the thing is, because it is embossed in there, you can actually feel the grain, makes it look a lot more premium and a lot higher end. Now what I do is like the feet. I kind of like how instead of having just one solid plate on there, it's actually kind of just open. It adds to a little bit more contemporary feel and just kind of creates a little bit of a more unique design.
I do really like the overall aesthetics of the Oberon 5. It does have a very modern type look. It's also available in 4 different finishes, so you can really make it fit almost any decor as well. But my favorite part about the Oberon 5 is definitely the form factor. They're really small, so you can kind of sneak them in anywhere.
There wasn't too much in the manual when it comes to explaining it. They really just showed an equilateral triangle. I know in the past, talking to people from Dali, they really don't like too much towing. So and I agree with them with this speaker. Unless you're close to the sidewalls, I would try not to recommend towing them in. And the small footprint really makes it easy to place in your decor. One thing we really want to note is design with the grills on. So even when you take a look at the measurements, you'll see that it's actually kind of cool because you can actually kind of use it as a tuning device to even see the way your room is. But just to let you know, it was designed that way.
Overall, we're pretty impressed with the performance of the Oberon 5s. They definitely pack a punch, and they definitely sound a lot bigger than what meets the eye. When it came to the bass response, that's when the Oberon 5 really shined. The bass was dynamic, it was very fast, and very impactful. Really let you sink into the recording, or sink into the music.
One thing I can really think of is, especially stuff that really high impact, it's just immersive. And it's the ways, the kind of the microdynamics and the actual dynamics and the way it just energizes the space, especially in the bass region. It really does. It creates just such a satisfying experience.
When we performed our classic dB test on the Oberon 5s at regular listening volume around 60 decibel, even low conversation level, the Oberon 5s actually performed quite well. The bass response is definitely prevalent at this volume level, so you're still getting a lot of articulation in the bass, you're still getting a lot of presence in the bass, even at low volume level. What I did notice though, on the top, there wasn't quite as much detail as I wanted it to have, but all things considered, I thought they still performed quite well.
So for those that like cranking it up, this is actually one of my favorite speakers. And the reason why is because it can really just pressurize a room, and it almost like the speaker's just asking like, yeah, please turn me up, because the dynamics and the authority that it gives is quite addicting, especially at loud levels. And we tested this at around 86, 87 dBs, playing at full range. This speaker can handle it and was not straining at all.
When it came down to listening to the Dali Oberon 5s, we really enjoyed how well-rounded they are and just how impactful they are. The first song that really stood out for us, High Classified NS Bounce. I really like this song. It's just got a great vibe to it. Amazing bass articulation. And it's kind of just got that kind of, I don't know, almost early hip-hop beat to it. It's just really easy to listen to, and it's just like, to me, it's almost like you can just walk to the beat. It's just one of those songs. On the Oberon 5s, I found, yeah, the bass was incredible. Just did such a good job. It was really articulated. But on the top end as well, the notes were still really clean, really distinct. Yeah, it just helped me. It really energized the room, and it energized me too. I couldn't help but dance.
It's a true story because I was annoyed. I was telling him, like, can you just switch to the next song already? But yeah, that's it's.
Well, we had to listen to it a couple times.
Yeah, it's just not over and over again. So in this track, they just want to make it sound big. And one thing is you can really hear on the synthesized sounds on both in the left or right. It's pretty cool because it's really spread far apart. That's one thing about the Dalis. It just seems to kind of layer the music really well. And again, one thing is that bass. So for those that also want to try this, in 223, there's a lot of bass, a lot of sweeping bass that really changes notes. And the one thing is, not only does it pressurize the room, I thought that it'd have like just kind of like that one note bass kind of quality to it, but it's completely the opposite. You can really hear the changes in tones, and it just excites and energizes the room.
The second song, we decided to switch it completely out. So the second artist we listened to was Alex DeGrassi. The song we listened to was Southern Exposure. Now, this song is actually quite short, around 1:58, just under 2 minutes. But I just love how this song starts off. It's really nice and exciting at the start. And it's the kind of song that always sticks in my head that you just kind of want to whistle when you're having a fun day. And I found on the Oberon 5s, it really picked up the weight of the strings when he was plucking them. And also the detail of the strings. It had no problem defining all the notes, and it was just a really nice, joyful experience.
In this track, it really sounds like the guitar is like literally like 10 feet wide. It sounds like there's multiple guitarists playing in this track, but very, very well recorded. And I think that's the one thing. I think in this price range, the amount of detail and is just enough. I think it just kind of makes it just in this price range. But again, the articulation of the mid bass was so good. You know, I wish it just had maybe that little bit of more texture on the strings, because you know you should hear almost like a zing to the strings, which I wasn't completely picking that up on. The one thing is though is we tried it, we took off the grills, and I liked it better. So depending on just your room, which I'll touch upon later, you can decide whether to actually use it with the grills or the grills off. So what you'll notice in the measurements, the red line is our normal PMC speakers that we always use as a baseline, and the other one is just where you can see the peak. That's because we took the grill off. So we tested it both on and off, and it really is, overall, it's just really in line what we listened to. So in the top, kind of like you can see that the bass overall, it's got a really good response on that. It's got some little bit of a peaks on there. Other than that, I would say it really is. It really follows what we were kind of listening to.
When it came down to comparing the Oberon 5s, honestly, it was pretty difficult to find a comparison that really matched the footprint and the size of this speaker. Two that come to mind would be the Monitor Audio Silver 200 series, or even the Bronze 200. The Oberon 5s kind of sit right in between the two price points. The one thing I noticed with the Oberon 5 is just how articulated and how present that mid bass and bass response is compared to the Monitor Audios. The Monitor Audios, what you'll find is on the top end, you might get a little bit more detail, a little bit more precision. But when it comes to the bass response, the Oberon 5 definitely takes the cake, I think. So what it really comes down to is just having a good listening and picking the speaker that best suits your listening style. Who's the Oberon 5s for? We really think they're best suited for a small to medium sized room because they'll really energize that space. If you have a heavily damped room with a lot of furnishings and carpet, they might not have enough top end to really shine through that room. So what we found in our findings is taking off the grill actually accentuated that top end a little bit. If you reference back to our measurement section of the video, you can see in the graph that when we took the grills off, the top end actually had a few dB jump.
The good thing about these speakers is they're relatively easy to drive. You know, you don't need the most demanding speaker, but I would say find something that gives it a lot of power. So a lot of these, again, going back to these digital hybrid amplifiers from Cambridge, NED, you know, it seems to be a new thing now. You know, they offer a lot of power, and also too, it will clean up some of that. I would say some of that top end. You know, again, because this definitely on the top end it's definitely not bright. So if you want to kind of increase that sense of detail and stuff, by going with an amp like that will work just fine. You know, another one that even comes to mind that we just reviewed recently was the Brio. I think the Brio would match really well. It would be just create this like punchy, dynamic sound that I really think would go very well.
Thanks for watching our video today on the Dali Oberon 5. If you're interested in more of an all-in-one system, check out our video on the Rubicon Cs.